Should the Steelers keep Mike Tomlin as coach in 2024 and beyond? Should they extend his deal? He's got 1 year left. That's what we're talking about on this episode of Steelers Touch Down Under. All right, let's get straight into it. I'm Matty P from Steelers Touch Down Under. We will be bringing you videos throughout the offseason. We'll be talking all things, analyzing what the Steelers did in 2023, where they need to improve. We'll be looking at all things free agents, retaining players, draft prospects. Who are the Steelers going to go after from the college game? How do they get better? What do they need to do in 2024? Who do they need to hire in terms of the coaching staff or into the front office to make things better? We'll be discussing all that on this channel. So much more to come. And we'll continue as well to just cover some different things where it's relevant through the rest of the playoffs as well. But look, the big story since the end of the Bills game, the big story really over the last 5-6 weeks with the Steelers has definitely been around Mike Tomlin and his coaching future. There have been all sorts of different narratives, from being traded to the Steelers retaining him, obviously, to the Steelers letting him go, to him taking a year out, to him joining the media. There's all sorts of different narratives that have come out. There's a large part of the fan base as well, or portion of the fan base, that is not for keeping Mike Tomlin. Fair enough. And I understand exactly why. There's another portion of the fan base that are massive Mike Tomlin fans. Either way, fans are entitled to their opinion. Now, since the Bills game, I am a fan. I'm not part of the NFL media. I am not part of the Steelers organization, obviously. I am a fan. So I've sat there for 24 hours since the loss, and I've absorbed it. I wasn't awfully gutted straight after the game. I was gutted as the day and night went on for me. The Steelers play with that game. It kicked off at 8:30 my time, over about lunchtime. I dealt with it. I went on with my work day. Life goes on. It is football. And then it kind of sucked last night. I would have usually turned on Madden after a Steelers game, played a few games of Madden. I'm a couple of seasons ahead of where they are right now. Didn't do that. Didn't want to focus on football. Did other things. Then I wanted to wake up this morning and in my time, I'm recording this in my evening to come out your Wednesday morning in the US. And I want to just absorb it more. But I woke up to all these headlines about Mike Tomlin. Now, in fairness, you might say, well, Mike Tomlin brought it upon himself. Mike Tomlin stormed out of the press conference when the question was asked. Again, that's been picked apart by the media, both nationally and Steelers beat writers. Should he have done that? Should he not? I don't think anyone's surprised. It goes down the we do not care. I coach the best team in the world. When asked, whether he wanted to go to the college game, none of these things. The way he reacted, probably not a surprise. He looked cold. He'd been on the sideline all day. He's probably pretty over it. I don't read too much into that. At the same time, we also had a bunch of exit interviews with players like TJ Watt and Cam Hayward and Broderick Jones, plus many more, all who said Mike Tomlin is a different coach to what I've had before in Broderick Jones's case. Mike Tomlin is an aggressive coach in what the other two blokes were saying. Mike Tomlin is the only coach I want to play for, the other guys were saying. So then you've got the part where Najee Harris was talking about some of the in-season rules. I think a lot of this comes down to the coaching staff and their role in this team beyond Mike Tomlin. What are coordinators doing in certain rooms? How is that going? I can't think that the team is undisciplined. Yes, we have seen undisciplined play on the field. Yes, but we went through a couple of years ago the whole Chase Claypool, the whole playing music in training, all those sorts of things. I don't think this team is undisciplined in everything they do. Do I think they can sharpen up? 100%, because we see it on the field. Mike Tomlin would want them to sharpen up as well, because if they're not sharp and they're making mistakes, he looks bad as a coach. But to simplify things, and to help, I know there are some Steel fans that like Mike Tomlin, be cool if they kept him, aren't going to burn the house down if they move on from him, they'll back the Steelers. So I put together 5 pros and 5 cons for them to keep Mike Tomlin. And when we think about the cons, if you're in the for keeping Mike Tomlin camp, you can look at these as areas. These are the 5 things he's got to fix. If you're in the con camp, these are 5 things that you might be able to sit there and say, right, well, I do kind of agree with those. Maybe he does deserve a couple year extension. Maybe even just because there's no one else out there that's better than him right now. There's not many coaches that are not already NFL head coaches that are going to do better than Mike Tomlin will with this team, with this O-line, with this many questions at quarterback, with the refreshing on defense that needs to happen, the youth that they need to get there, considering the injuries they had. right? So with that in mind, let's bring up these 5 pros and 5 cons. All right, so let's start off. As you see, I've done it completely color-coded, completely split down the middle, 5 each. Number 1, we've kind of talked about that in the intro part. The players like him, right? Players like Mike Tomlin, players around the league talk about Mike Tomlin. You see when he's done off-season interviews the last couple of years, players like Mike Tomlin. To a point, Big Ben was at pains to not articulate that he didn't like Mike Tomlin when he was speaking with Bill Cowher, the guy that brought him in, the guy that got him his first Super Bowl, right? Players like him. People know about him from the due diligence he does with the college, all those things. Point number 2, never finishes below 500. Everyone's labored about that, but even in a 17-game season where the numbers are odd, he's never finished below 500, right? Huge. Actually never finished 4th either, which not a lot of people know. He's I talked about this a lot in the offseason with Marky D. He has never finished 4th. So he's finished 3rd a number of times. He's finished 1st a number of times as well. But he has never finished 4th. And in fact, he's only finished 3rd 4 times. So he is more likely to come 2nd or 1st than he is number 3rd. And certainly number 4th, right? Or come 4th, not number 4th. But he's done pretty well from that perspective, right? And he's literally, come 1st more times than he has come 2nd. So with Mike Tomlin, the odds are on you're going to finish 1st, 2nd in the division, which usually probably means you're making the playoffs, and you might even finish 1st. Cool. Point number 4, which seems like point number 1, but he is liked NFL-wide. Now, Rich Eisen is the Mike Tomlin PR train. People give Rich Eisen a lot of stick. I really like Rich Eisen. That's how I know about this. I listen to him. He talks about how much he likes Mike Tomlin. But Mike Tomlin is liked it. Now, I don't think he would want to go to a basket case that is the Carolina Panthers right now with Dave Tepper, a former Steelers owner. I don't even want to do that. I don't think he'd want to go to New York. I don't think he even want to go to the Washington Commanders, even though they've changed ownership. I don't see him going West Coast to LA. People talked about him going to Atlanta. People talked about him going to a few other different places. Fine, but the place where he wants to be is in Pittsburgh. He is very well liked. The Steelers have either got to sign him or move him pretty quickly. I think they're offering him an extension, right? He's also told the team, this is the right point in time to say that he's told the team he'll be back in 2024, which is very important as they go about re-signing guys, extending guys, doing all those things. Older guys considering what they're going to do. Point number 5 is injuries are not his fault. He has been this year without Cole Holcomb, Quan Alexander, 2 starting inside linebackers. He was there without Minka for a large period of time. He was without, they had different DB injuries throughout the season. He has been without Cam Hayward for a large, considerable amount of time, or a substandard Cam Hayward compared to Cam Hayward's lofty status. He has been without TJ Watt, and look, I am someone that sits there and agrees the Steelers' record without TJ Watt is abominable. 1-10, not good enough. It can't be that bad, but there's other people that, he covers for a lot of other issues on this team, and a large part of it is youth on defense, right? It's not his fault about the quarterback carousel. Now, it is in terms of not turning to Mason Rudolph fast enough. I agree with Shannon White on our Steelers Global Perspective shows about that, but it's not his fault that Kenny Pickett has had such a stop-start career in terms of he plays some games, he starts to look a bit better, then he gets injured, concussed, all these different things. But injuries overall are not his fault. Same without having Pat Freiermuth for a number of different games, that taking away a key offensive weapon. They are not his fault. Right, let's look at the cons. He is literally 44% in the playoffs. Not very good considering he's got 2 Super Bowl appearances, 1 win. He has no Super Bowl since 2011. He's had no playoff wins since 2016, season 2016. He's only had, and I don't like writing this as a con, out of his 17 seasons, he's only had 10 double-digit win seasons with winning more than 10 games. But, he hasn't done it more than that. He hasn't done it, 70+% of the time, 75% of the time. So, not good enough. He hasn't fixed the quarterback issue in under 2 seasons. That's a con. A lot of people, that is a con. They keep talking about the quarterback issue. They keep saying Kenny Pickett's not the guy. Mike Tomlin had Ben Roethlisberger for all those years. The franchise kept him going. When Mike Tomlin was advocating mobility a while back, there's the whole rumor about Lamar Jackson and drafting to him. We saw the turn that Big Ben had about them drafting a guy in the 3rd round. Imagine if they drafted a guy in the 1st or the 2nd round, if Lamar had slipped a little bit more than the Ravens. But a lot of Steelers fans criticize him for the quarterback, and I'm summing this up with he's not fixed the quarterback issue in under 2 seasons. And then the big one, which I can understand, although I don't think it's got to do with him, is he kept MC too long, MC being Matt Canada. Did not fire him after the first year. They did bring him back. I think they wanted to do right by Kenny Pickett more than anything. Kind of didn't work. I think he wanted to do right by Matt Canada. Probably should have got rid of him by the time they'd already started to get the injuries, but definitely by the bye, definitely trade deadline. Probably should have got rid of him then. So in any respect, with most of the fan base would say he kept him too long. And this more speaks to a wider issue, which, to be honest, I just want to create a wordy slide, which is, does Mike Tomlin hire yes men as coordinators? And obviously, he could hire females if he wanted to as well. But does he hire yes people, or does he hire no people? And he should be hiring no people. And that is what I think is a major area of development. That's not necessarily a pro or con on this list, because they're guys that he inherited. He didn't sack them straight away. He let them ride out their time with the Steelers. So I'm not in there as a pro and a con, but it is definitely something to watch that may help the pros and add more pros to those lists and solve some of the cons, some of those things that are in white. But it is a complex scenario for the Steelers. It is something very difficult. We have seen the Patriots part ways with a guy like Bill Belichick. We've seen a number of teams like Mike Vrabel leave the Titans. There's rumors that Sirianni might get a flick from the Eagles. It's probably very likely by the time I put this out that McCarthy's been kicked out of Dallas. Now, he's not been there as long, but he was removed from Green Bay. There are lots of coaching changes right now. Maybe it's best to keep Mike Tomlin while coaching changes continue, right? Maybe it's best. Maybe you help Mike Tomlin find that guy. Maybe you help Mike Tomlin find an OC, because the defense, you've got to score points in this league. You got to have a good defense, but you've got to score points. Can Mike T bring in an OC, groom that guy as a coach, as a leader of men, as the future for the Steelers? That is what they should task Mike Tomlin with. And if Mike Tomlin loves the Steelers half as much as he says he does, I would hope and want to think that he'd want to do that for the Steelers as well. He says when he's appeared on football and podcasts, when he's appeared with Pat McAfee on the Pat McAfee show, he talks about being a Pittsburgher. Now, he talks about that being his hometown. That's the team he wants to coach. And that's why I do think in his heart of hearts, once he realizes that he's probably in a final set of seasons, how does he bring that OC along? How does he bring that future Steelers coach along? I mean, it might be on the defensive side, but obviously there's an opportunity on the offensive side, in the offensive side of the football in this particular season at this particular time. But let me know. Do you think I've been fair in the pros and cons? Are you on the pro Mike Tomlin side? Are you on the con Mike Tomlin side? Are you on the let's see Mike Tomlin side? Are you on the considered side, which says, I know he's got the cons, I know he's got the pros, probably better to keep him? I want to know all your thoughts in the comments below. And if you've been a sub from TDU, thank you very much. Continue. We will have so much to come in the offseason. If you started coming across the TDU, the Steelers Touchdown Under content, and you've seen a lot of it, hit that sub button. You'll get all notifications when we do lives. You'll get a minimum one live show a week. You'll also get all of our stuff as soon as it comes through. Equally, if you've stumbled across this and it's the first time you've ever seen us, hope you enjoy the show. Hit that like button, hit that sub button as well, or hopefully you'll hit it soon when you come across our content more. As always, and I'm going to say this as how I end every video, but go Steelers.